Hey guys, we made it to season 5 of the Us People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and in this season, we aim to empower and embrace creativity through diversity as we dive into the fascinating stories and experiences of a diverse range of individuals, highlighting their unique perspectives and creative endeavours, from artists and entrepreneurs to innovators and activists. We celebrate the power of diversity in driving creativity and fostering positive change. Join us as we engage in thought-provoking conversations like
I made myself intentionally homeless in pursuit of my purpose.
We're aware that a lot of people want to present and they were in my position, and what's worse, they weren't a white male, which is a joke that's even still a thing.
I think my family never ever say you can't do something, so full of support for whatever dream. If I said tomorrow I want to fly to the moon, they'll probably say I wish you all the best, Mel.
So guys, I just want to say thank you for supporting the Us People podcast for the past 5 years, and we look forward to sharing another new theme song with you. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Brad Holcomb and I'm a comedy writer, scriptwriter and production crew, amongst other things. You're listening to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
I had to overcome a lot of obstacles just to get here. Embrace your inner self.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and today I am humbled to have Brad here with me. He is a comedy writer, production crew, actor and voiceover. Brad, thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Us People podcast. How are you?
Very well, and thank you for having me. It was a really nice, thing to be asked to, for somebody to speak to me and hear my stories. It was really nice, so thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. So my first question for you is, could I kindly ask a bit about yourself, where you grew up, but also how that influenced you to be the person who you are today?
Well, I grew up in Llanelli. It's a town in South Wales. And even though the place didn't inspire me, it's a beautiful place, but, some people are inspired by their surroundings and that kind of thing. It's the people and the experiences I had that, further down the line have inspired me in so many different ways. So, something as simple as my first view into comedy, the first thing that really stuck in my brain when it comes to comedy was back then, the street used to know each other. Yeah. And somebody would have a party and the whole street would be invited and that kind of thing. And I remember I was at one of those in the house opposite, and the adults were obviously doing their thing. I was about 8, 9 years old, and the TV was on. So I was just watching it, and a film started, and I thought, oh, great, And it started off with this epic music, a hillscape, mist going past, all that kind of stuff, the dramatic music. And then you could hear the clanking of metal and the horses' hooves. And then you slowly started to see the knights coming over the hill.
Yes, yeah.
And when they got to the top of the hill, you saw there were no horses. There were no horses at all. It was a guy in the front with coconuts, and they were all miming the horse riding. And I remember just thinking, wow, these are adult men on the telly. Not even kids' time. It was in the evening, and it's a film, and they're doing this. And I just thought this, obviously limited to what I was thinking at 8 years old, but it stuck with me. And, I return to it now and again. And I just think, wow. And that is the first time I ever saw Monty Python. That was the Holy Grail. And it just, that was it. That just stuck in my head, and it's like, no, that is amazing. If those men can do that, I'm sure I can.
I've seen quite a few people on films of how they make the films and the sounds that they actually do in order to make them. And there's these two guys, and they have literally the room is a mess, but when it comes to film production, you see how they they have chains, coconuts, as you say, high heels, just to implement the sounds for the video. But it's really quite cool to be able to see how it all impacts everything, and how it plays such a big contribution to the film. It's absolutely massive. So my next question for you is, can you define yourself as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, Brad, has there ever been a time where you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to go from being a person that you might not have wanted to be, or not in a place of happiness, to being in a place where you feel content?
Well, before I started all of this, it was 2018. I started writing properly and that. But before that, I was in management. I was an area manager, and it was horrendous. It was it's just the pressure you put under, the things you have to do. The standards that people work in, and you've got to just ignore it. It's just not a nice environment, really toxic, and I was dragged into that. Well, I allowed myself to get dragged into it.
Yeah.
That's what I've figured out since. It's just not their fault. It's I allowed that, and excuse me. So I was in that, and I just hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the time it took me away from my family. And me losing my job in 2018 should have been horrendous. My daughter had just been born, and I was suddenly out of work, but it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So looking back, if I was to look at myself then, I'd see how miserable I was. And there's a lot of stuff I can't actually remember from those times. My wife will tell me something, no idea. It's like I've blanked the bad, but
you have.
It's also deleted some of the good.
Yep.
But since that, it's everything turned, and everything, especially in my head, is just positive. So it's always a positive thing, and something I'm striving for because I enjoy it. So I can push harder, and I can, I can enjoy that process of getting there. And it doesn't matter, that I'm not making as much money as I did then. I don't care about that. I'm spending loads of time with my family. I'm doing something that I love to do. And that's it. That's all I care about.
Do you know what? I love when I hear these type of stories, because it makes me realize that one thing is, you don't take anything with you in life. And every time I have a conversation with someone, that one sentence always comes out from me. You don't take anything with you, but you do leave the beautiful memories with your family. You do leave the love that you gave to them. And anybody else that you touch. When you're walking down the road, you can smile at someone, and that completely can make their day, not knowing what they're going through. And all these things play a huge contribution to people's lives. And for me, that is more fulfilling than, for example, making £1 million a day in a miserable job that you're not happy in, which we both know how that can be. So one thing I would love to know is, let's talk about comedy writing, because being a comedy writer, there is a talent that you need to have within it, or it could be there's two ways that we can look at this, and I'm sure you'll guide me through this. So the first one is, being a comedy writer, you can have an exceptional talent to be able to do what you need to do in order to be out in the world and write for comedy. But then there's two, where you can be just a very hard-working person who loves the authenticity and the creativity of what you do and implement that into the world and be able to make a living from it. Break which one down do you feel you are?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. Even though I'm quite a slow person, up there, my head is just constant. It's 100 mile an hour.
I understand. Yep.
So whatever it is, and I've always like thought, I'm quite judgmental or that kind of thing, because I'm making up things in my head, and then when I realize it's not being judgmental, it's actually being creative, and I'm looking at this person and I'm picturing what they do, who they are, that kind of thing, or I'm looking at a situation, I'm figuring it out. I'm playing it out in my head. So I've always got this thing going on, and then when I realized I could put that to paper, it just worked. But coming from not a background of it, it's an incredible amount of hard work. Yeah. I've done courses and tutorials and all sorts of stuff just to figure this thing out. How can I do it? How can I do it properly? How can I get people to take notice, or that kind of thing? And it's I think so. For me, I think it's a mixture of both. It's that effort, that drive to make it work, but also the fine tuning of the the mess that's going on up there. So
no, that makes complete sense. But that's the funny thing with us creative people. Not everybody understands the way that our mindsets actually think, and we'll go off in a tangent and then start being creative. And usually, for me anyways, my creativity is overwhelming at nighttime. So when I was doing research, they said from maybe 10 o'clock at night time till maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, there are a lot of creative people in the world that those are their best times to be creative. And that's a wonderful thing to have, but a lot of people don't understand the concept of that. But I definitely understand where you're coming from, because I know a lot of the time there are people who I've actually interviewed as well who said that their work load, the way they work, is they work very hard. They work smart, but they work very hard because the talent wasn't necessarily given to them, but they know that they have to work a lot harder. A lot of the time in life, there are people who have exceptional talents, but don't have to work as hard as people who might not have the talent, but they have the drive and passion to be able to want to do what they want to do. So thank you so much for saying that. So my next one for you is, I would love to know what a day in your life is like now that you have this newfound freedom to enable you to do what you want to do in your life. What is a day like in your life from when you wake up in the morning till when you start to be creative or go into your mode or do things your way, and into the evening when you decide to say, this is where I'm going to rest, or I'm going to relax or spend time with family?
Well, it depends on what day it is. I do work full time in security as well. So, but the benefit of that, and I hope none of them are listening, is it's nights. So I work nights. Okay. So there's quite a bit of downtime where you usually read a book or watch a TV show or something. Well, I'll use that to write. Yeah. So I'll be tapping away and so I'll be using that time. But it depends on what I've got on. I could spend, especially when the kids are at school, I could be, the whole time they're at school, just writing away or making a sketch video or something. Could be anything really. But what I do is I look at, I heard I can't remember who it was. Somebody on a podcast said that they look at their day of what they'd get most in trouble for if they didn't do it. So then they'd focus on that.
Sounds like me.
And then, and separate it out that way. So so whatever that extreme deadline is, then that's what they do first, or they'd separate their day that way, and that's pretty much what I do. I mean, if the kids are off, like today, I've been in the garden.
Oh, that
I haven't
sounds
done
nice.
anything today. So so I spent that time with them. So it's one of them. And working nights allows me to do that. Because it's not like I work and then I've got to try and squeeze writing in.
Yeah.
I can do it while I'm there. Hopefully, if I get chance. But then I've got that choice to do it in the day, or enjoy with the kids if they're off.
Talk to me about one thing I would love to know is when you are a writer, especially if you're doing comedy, for example, you have to have a lot of confidence, especially to be a writer or an actor. In these things, it's about showing who you are as a person, but also the characters that you can implement in different ways. How do you feel that you gain the confidence and self-esteem to be able to do these things?
It's forced. It's a forced confidence. I remember the first little sketch that I put out on Facebook. I'd written it, I'd performed it, and then it was like, it was that, shall I do it? Shall I not? People are going to laugh at me. They're going to think I'm stupid. I got people back home that think, oh my God, he's a 30-odd-year-old man. What's he doing?
Oh, don't say that.
But then I thought, it's tough. I've written it. I enjoy it. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed doing it. Yeah. I'm going to put it out there. And if I find it funny, someone else is bound to. There's got to be other people with my humor. So I thought, just do it. Just do it. And I've done the same ever since. I'll put it out there, and that's it. I won't. So it's kind of a fake confidence, but it's just, like Nike say, just do it.
That's true. For anybody who wants to go into writing or acting, just from your perspective of what you've been through, what would your kind of advice be, especially for someone starting in the whole industry? What would your advice be to them to help them get into it?
Well, the first two things I'd say is keep going. Mm-hmm. You will think you're rubbish. You will get declined things or refuse things. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. The other thing is something I learned early on, which is good, and it does trip a lot of people up, is you will get rejected. Expect to be rejected. And that really helped me, because when it was like, oh, well, they said, that I will get rejected, so it's fine, and I'm still on the right path, so I'll carry on pushing. But yeah, other than those two things, it's research. Whatever you want to do, if you want to write sitcom, watch loads of sitcoms.
That's true.
Find out who these people are who make them. Look at what else they do. Look into how you can begin that. Are there any courses? Are there any I can't think of the word. Courses and what's any way of getting in. Like, for example, with because I've been writing and I wanted to get into the production side of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So instead of working as security and then in TV land and then being a dad, it was like, right, okay, well, what if I can do all that under one umbrella?
Exactly.
Take out the real job, have the fantasy job, and just do it all there. And from looking and researching, I found this course. It was the Create Central Skills Accelerator course. Yes. And what it does, it teaches you all of the basics so that you can go in, you can just step in as entry level. Because even trying to get in as entry level is ridiculously hard unless you know somebody or you're aware of something that's happening. If you're trying to just go on a film set, it's really, really hard. So something like this It gives you the contacts and the know-how and that kind of thing. It doesn't get you a job, but it teaches you how and what to do and what to do when you get there, so that you can then make people think that you're good and want you back, and you can get that steady work from that. So yeah, just keep working at it, looking things up, doing everything you possibly can to get your foot in the door. Once your foot's in the door, just jam it in there and keep it.
I like the way you said jam it in there.
Don't let it come back out,
That's a fair point, actually, guys. Don't let it come back out. Keep pushing yourself in there, because someone will notice you. And it's quite surprising. When you're in an industry, the person who you think doesn't notice you is the person that actually notices you. So I always say, keep pushing. There will be someone in there that will see your value of who you are as a person and how you can contribute that value to the organization or company or film production that you're in. But in life, there will be rejections. Those rejections are actually a blessing. They're just redirecting you to where you need to be. I always say that to people. So no rejection is a bad thing, because sometimes if you accept the first thing that comes to you, there could have been something maybe better on later on, which you could have went for and could have potentially helped you to be better at your craft and what you want to do. So my next one is, I am going to say, if there was someone that you would love to work with in film production, voiceover, being an actor, talk to me about who this person would be. You can choose any. You can choose film production, or you can choose voiceovers, whichever one you choose, because you have so many talents. So I just want to get them all out. Who would you choose to work with, and why? Would they be an inspirational person? Would they be just somebody who you think is a brilliant actor or actress, as they say, but now I know that they just call it actor. Who would you choose to work with in the fields that you work within?
Well, I've got two, actually.
Ooh, okay.
They're both comedy actors.
I like this.
Got Matt Berry and Bob Mortimer. Both of them for different reasons. I mean, Matt Berry, I've watched most of the stuff he's been in for years and years. I think the man is a legend, and he should be bigger than what he is. But when you see him on the screen, it's going to be funny. This guy is great, and it's just, you're guaranteed. And then Bob Mortimer, I mean, I just love to have a pint in the pub with that man.
Oh, bless you.
He's the funniest guy in the world, I think, but naturally funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he says. He can, I don't know, he's just, I just think he's got some pure comedic brain, and I just I'd love to work with him, but I just love to sit in a pub and just talk to him.
It might be his charisma, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
It might be something. It might be that he has a charisma to him, which is natural, and it just connects with people.
Yeah.
Like a natural charisma.
Yeah. Because I mean, when he's on things like Would I Lie to You?
Yes.
And everybody knows that this episode's going to be funny. The people on the show, they're like, oh, bloody Mortimer. What's he going to say this time? So everybody just knows, he's just one of those people. And like you said, it's his charms or whatever. It's just something about him. He's just an awesome guy.
So we'll pull it in the world for you, okay, so that you can have some kind of contact with them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they get, no, it's true. And hopefully, listen, if you don't ask for it, you don't get it. So I always say to people, ask for it and it will come your way. And if people see that you're doing the work, they'll come over and want to work with you. So if there was one quote that represented you as a person, what quote would you choose, and why would you choose that particular quote?
Oof. Wow. It's not something that describes me, but it describes how I think.
Of course.
It was Richard Branson.
Ah, yes.
I saw a quote from him years ago. I can't remember it exact, but it says something like, if you're offered an opportunity, take it and then figure out what to do.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's something like that. He probably said it a bit more eloquent than I did, but it's that. And I just thought, wow, that's awesome. You know, just take it and see what happens.
Because I don't think there's a wrong way of doing something when an opportunity is meant for you.
Yeah.
Because it can either go blissfully well or you learn, even though we would say it would go badly, that's not actually the case. I think it's just us learning within that opportunity. So if that opportunity arises again, we have the mindset to know, okay, I've done this a certain way this time I'm going to articulate myself in this way to make it work as a team or with people. So that's a great quote to actually have for people. So if there was one question you wished somebody asked you, Brad, but never ever has, what would that question be and why?
It'll be Bob Mortimer and can you come and work with me? Oh God, I don't know. I got no idea.
There's a few where sometimes a person actually just says, I wish someone would ask me how I am but mean it. And then there are some people that would ask, if I could do something in the world that could change the world, what would I do? Usually it's something meaningful to them, which resonates with who they are. And sometimes it's just about caring or having compassion towards a person to find out what they love. So if you haven't got it, we'll come back.
Yeah, I haven't got anything.
No, it's totally okay. So let's go into music. I'm sure everyone has a passion for some kind of music, and music, I always say, helps heal us and helps give us, takes us out of places in our lives where sometimes we can feel stuck or we can feel stagnant within our lives. If there was one song that was the soundtrack of your life, which is going to be interesting, if there was one song that was the soundtrack of your life, what song would it be and why?
Oh wow,
I can see his brain working.
Yeah, cogs are going. Well, I'm going through all the catalogue of songs.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can just see your brain just going through them.
I mean, there's a song, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's The Dark Side of the Street, something like that. Frank Sinatra.
That's a cool title.
And or The Bright Side of the Street. I got that wrong, haven't I? It's basically stepping out of the shadows and into the bright. So I think it's the light side of the street, something like that. And there was a time where I was in the rubbish jobs and a bit down. That I did use music, to help turn things around. Mm-hmm. So there's Only the Best is Good Enough for Me. I can't remember the song title. Frank Sinatra again. And there was quite a few songs like that with that positive message. And I just listened to them in the car or listened to them, in the morning or whatever. So I can't think of a song that would be a soundtrack to my life. I would have thought some kind of Pink Floyd.
Oh, that's okay. I'm with you.
I don't know. I think it's got to be something Pink Floyd, "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" or something like that.
Yeah, no, I like the choices. No, those are good choices. Yep. What would you do in the world differently if there was nobody who would judge you? So, for example, a lot of time in the world we get judged based upon who we are, what we do, our titles of our work, us being a manager, our daily lives, if there was no word called judgment, what would you do differently in the world?
Well, 100% I'd be more confident. I would, like instead of researching who's done what and what they've done, I'd be at their production studios or I'd be at their door, and I'd be saying, "You're right, come, can you show me around and that kind of thing, Whereas if you were to do that, it'd be like, well, who are you? Why are you knocking my door? Unless you've got a title, a name, something behind you, then you're not so negative, but you're nothing really, in their eyes. So if there was no judgment, I think I'd definitely be knocking a lot more doors, inviting myself to places I probably shouldn't be in.
Do you know what?
Just hobnobbing me with the with those kind of people and see where it gets me.
Do you know what, Brad? To be fair, I think you can do it anyways. I think you could actually go and do it. And I think a lot of the time what it is with us is we have the insecurity or the syndrome within us that makes us feel like we're not 100% good enough. Or like you say, we don't have the title. But really, those people are actually waiting for us to come through the door and say who we are.
Yeah.
Listen, trust me.
You're going to get me in trouble, you are. I'm going to go knocking doors.
Shall I tell you why? Shall I tell you why I'm going to get you in trouble? Because the most beautiful thing in life is I don't want people to go around saying, what if I did try that? Or I've sat here for so many years and I could have done this. Whereas even if you get a no, at least you know you got the no. Whereas if for years to come, you're wondering if you would have got the no. So I like to get people in trouble, but I like to get people in trouble for a good reason.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because I believe in people's ability to enable them to go and get what they want in life. Because we are here for a short period of time, and once that time is gone, you're either reincarnated into someone else with another dream and another aspiration, or you might not come back at all. So for me, I'm going to get you in trouble now. I'm going to say, go to those people's doors and find out who they are and have a conversation. There is nothing wrong with communication. Communication is what makes the world work. And it will also make you happy that you've done it as well. It'll give you like this boost. So what are you most proud of that you stand for as an individual?
Well, as in who I am or something I've done?
You can do both, whichever resonates with you. So you can do who you are first and then what you've done.
I mean, I don't, I'm not a person who dwells on the past. Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
It's either a lesson or something that you forget, but it's gone. So forgetting everything anything and anything I might have done previous, the way I am now, and the way me and how I am and whatever, I'm quite proud of the way I am, basically. I'm very positive now, very driven, very focused, very family orientated. Everything is balanced, so I make sure everything's balanced. So that I think that's something I'm quite proud of is how I am, and I'm hoping that will pass on to my kids, so that they can be positive. And because there have been times in the past where under stress and everything you're just miserable and angry and whatever else, and You know, not that I've done anything really bad, you know, just because you think.
I don't. One thing I don't do in life is judge, and I think that's the really authentic thing. I think even if you have done something bad, Brad, who is anyone to judge you for it? There has to be a reason why you done it in the first place. So for me, I don't think anybody has the right to pass judgment on another person. But in a human world, people still do. But I just decided I don't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that's something I'm proud of. Work-wise, it's exactly what I've done. Everything I've done up until this point is I'm proud of, because you know there have been times where I've thought, can I actually do this? Does anyone care? You know, I've written this, I've got rejected. I've written this, I got rejected. I've written this, and I've got one like. So it's and then it's no positive. Keep on going, and then I'll get something else, and it's like, there we are.
See,
I'm telling myself off, like, see, there, should listen to yourself. So you know, everything to date, really, I'm really proud of.
See, that's what I love. So can you define what success means to you? Because in life we all have a different definition of what success means to us. Sometimes success can mean waking up in the morning and just being alive. Sometimes it could be fighting cancer, it could be passing your driving test, it could be so many other things. But can you define what success means to you as a person?
Success to me is being happy.
Yes.
I don't think there's any other measurement, well, not in my head anyway, of success. You know, it's if like I'm doing what I'm doing now, I'm happy. I'm spending loads of time with my wife and kids. I'm happy. All these things, they're making me happy. And if someone was to offer me, you know, £1 million to do the job I was doing before, they'd have the door shut straight in their face, you know, because I don't, you know, money doesn't bother me. It's being happy. So success, I think, is just being happy in whatever you're doing.
See, I'm so glad you said that. I think more and more people need to know that, especially. So if I was to say to you, what is the best advice you have ever received from someone, and how has it helped you in your life?
The best advice I'd say was something my dad said when I was a teenager. I was lying on the sofa, not up to anything, just watching the telly, and he was asking me what I'm doing. So I'm just watching the telly, and he goes, "Oh, you know, not up to much then." And he said, "Well, you know what they say, if things don't change, they'll stay as they are." And he walked out, and I laughed. I thought, "Oh, that's a funny thing." But then years later, I thought, "Oh, that's actually really good." That's actually a really, really good bit of advice. And when I lost my job and I was doing everything and thinking of writing and, you know, shall I do it? How am I going to do it? It was in my head. It was just in my head that, well, you know, things don't change, they'll stay as they are. And it just kept pushing me forward. You know, if I don't change it, and I honestly thought it was a funny saying when I first heard it. I thought it's weird.
No, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It does make complete. That's actually really good. That's actually a really good way of. Yeah, your dad was smart in the way he said it. So, when was the last time you remember feeling at peace with yourself?
Yesterday. I'm in that place where I'm just grateful. I'm happy. You know, it's been a while 43 years in the making, but
Hey.
you know, I'm there. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm at peace. I'm focused on one thing and enjoying everything else.
See, you sound really calm, which is really nice. It's just like a calm aura. Plus, it's a hot day, guys. It's extremely hot. You don't want to be doing too much today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just sound in a really peaceful, tranquil place. So
Yeah.
I've only got literally 2 more for you. And my second to last question is, when did you realize that language had a power? Because in the way that we use our language and articulate ourselves says so much about who we are as people. When did you learn that language had power to help you in the world?
Well, I learned that in when I was in management, actually, because you know you'd speak to the higher ups, or you'd email somebody in an office somewhere, and you just weren't taken seriously unless you use the mind-numbing crap that they use, you know, moving forward and all this kind of stuff, you know, all those phrases and, you know, the management speak, unless you use that and you spoke to them as they speak to you, you didn't get taken seriously. So that was my first example of that. And, you know, once I got it, my emails were, you know, beautifully crafted.
Beautifully crafted. Oh, I like that. So before we go today, before I even say thank you to you for coming on the show, Brad, I would love for people to be able to find you and connect with you. So could I kindly ask you, where can we find you on any social medias, if you have any, or anywhere that you would like to share so people can connect with you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, which is at BTHOL81. Insta, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you just type in my name, Brad Holcombe, HOLCOMBE. Yeah, I'm on all of those. Yes, you find me on there and connect and go from there.
Cool. That sounds good to me. Brad, this is where I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to sit down and have a conversation with me, just nice and easy. Let me know about your life, where you come from, you know. And most of all, Brad, I commend you for finding your happiness, because a lot of people go through life and don't take that leap of faith to find the happiness that's within them. So thank you so much again for sharing your story, who you are, but most of all, just being you. And please do me a favor and get yourself in more trouble. So
yes, I will do.
Thank you so much, Brad. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. Guys, I want to thank you so much for listening to the Us People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, Google Play, and any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also donate to the Us People podcast by simply going to the Savia Rocks website or going to the Us People podcast website. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always, please continue to be kind to one another. Take care.
Well, the first 2 things I'd say is keep going. You will think you're rubbish. You will get declined things or refused things. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. The other thing is something I learned early on, which is good, and it does trip a lot of people up, is you will get rejected. Expect to be rejected. And that really helped me, because when I was, it was like, oh, well, they said, you know, that I will get rejected, so it's fine, you know, and I'm still on the right path, so I'll carry on pushing.
Redirect this to you, you'll see the power in yes, if you try. I fly like I'm Superman. Spread your wings and let the wind glide. I fly like I'm Superman. Spread your wings and let the wind glide. I fly like I'm Superman. Spread your wings and let the wind glide. I fly like I'm Superman. Spread your wings and let the wind glide you high. We're just soaring through this journey, leaving fear far behind. Our hearts are full of courage. You can win if you try.